Good evening, Ross the Boss Burkinshaw.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for being on Bayloric TV.
No problem, Ingram. I'm glad to be on it.
So, I mean, a lot of people don't know who you are. You're making your debut on Bayloric TV. And we've got to thank, first of all, a fan of Bayloric TV and a fan of yourself, Wayne Lovett. So we've got to give thanks to him first.
Yeah, a big thank you to Wayne for getting me on here. It's great to be on here.
Okay, great. So you're a professional boxer?
Yeah, I'm a professional boxer.
Okay, tell us a little bit about you then, Ross.
I'm ranked number 7 in Britain. I'm current bantamweight Commonwealth champion, the former super flyweight English champion, and I'm on my way to making it to number 1.
Okay, let's talk about where you're from. Where do you hail from?
I'm from Sheffield, England. I train with Ryan Rhodes in Rotherham at Dave Caldwell's fitness gym. I train down there with him, and Ryan Rhodes has been looking after me for the last year.
Okay, Ryan Rhodes. Everyone knows who Ryan Rhodes was. You know,
yes.
The Spice Boy. Probably doesn't want to remember that as being Spice Boy now, but certainly had some great fights in his career. And
he's Old Spice now.
Who's what now?
He's Old Spice.
He's Old Spice now. Yeah, I'm not going to tell him that, but yeah, you can tell him he's Old Spice. I'm not going to quite tell him that, but you've got the privilege of selling it to him. So Sheffield produces a lot of great fighters. I mean, now you've got another fighter now, Kell Brook, who I was a skeptic of. I can't tell him to say I wasn't, and he's done the business. He's done the business.
Yes.
World champion, so you can't knock that.
Not at all. He's certainly done it. Well, from me growing up, my heroes was Errol Graham, Bomber Graham, Ryan Rhodes, Paul Silky Jones, Clinton Woods, another guy not from Sheffield but he trained in Sheffield with us, Richie Wenton. So I've always been around great fighters, and I've grown up with all them guys. So they've always been my inspiration.
See, one guy I do remember, Richie Wenton, when he fought Marco Antonio Barrera. Do you remember that?
Yeah, for the world title.
Oh my God. What are you doing? You're fighting Barrera. And he gave it a go, but it's like Barrera, you know. It's like...
Barrera in his prime when he was a
winner. Absolutely. So you've got to give Richie all the credit in the world for that, but Barrera's a handful, right?
Yeah, definitely was. Richie was one of the first people to phone me up to congratulate me after I won my Commonwealth belt as well. So
wow, that must have been a good touch. Must have been a good touch.
It was great. Richie phoned me up, Paul Silky Jones. The story actually goes, Ingram. I started at a gym called Ray Gillet's Hillsborough Boys Club.
Okay.
Clinton Woods started there. He won the Commonwealth title, then went on to win the world. Paul Silky Jones started there, won the Commonwealth title, went on to win the world. I started there, I've won my Commonwealth, now I've just got to make that next step.
Wow. So some big aspiration for yourself, and you've got some people behind to have done it. So you're in good stead. You're in good stead. You've got a good track. So who's your manager?
Dennis Hobson.
Oh, you've got a good man there. The man that I personally think Dennis Hobson is the best in terms of getting people world title fights and securing world title fights and securing world champions. He's got a record of doing it.
That's it. He's done it with Jamie McDonald, Stewie Hall, Clinton Woods. He took over Ricky Hatton for a while, Carl Thompson. He looked after David A. He's been there, he's done it, and he's got the resume to prove it.
So you got a good future ahead of you, to be honest.
Certainly. I've been boxing 20 years. I started when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
And I've been everywhere. I've been to New York. I've watched Layla Ali box live. I've met Sugar Ray Leonard, Don King.
Wow.
I've met everybody. Been there and done it. So I've always known I wanted to get up there to the top, to be on the same level as these people.
So tell us more about your amateur background, because it's always nice to know what a guy's done as an amateur to build that foundation to be a pro. Tell us a bit more about your amateur background.
Certainly. I started boxing at 8 years old. I had my first fight when I was 11. Down at the Sheffield, I boxed the Sheffield Boxing Centre. Glyn Rhodes was my trainer. and I boxed there until I was just before I turned 17. I joined the British Army, and I ended up boxing for the Army boxing team from 2004 until around 2007, I believe. 2007, and then I became the first ever serving soldier to become a professional boxer, given the permission by my colonel to turn professional.
Oh wow, wow!
I got to 2005. I got to the ABA finals. I got beat by a very, very good English fighter, Stuart Langley. Got beat in the final, but I became two-time combined service champion. So I was the champion of the Army, Navy, and the RAF.
Oh wow!
I made my debut in 2006, I believe. November 2006, I turned professional, and I beat the guy in 60 seconds. I knocked him out, a guy called Rob Bumford.
60 seconds?
60 seconds.
So
in 60 seconds.
So in 60 seconds you knocked him out. Did you think at that point that you were going to be a puncher throughout your career, or do you think?
I did, yes, I did. And then I continued winning. My first actual loss, I threw up an overhand right in the second round of the fight, and my shoulder popped out. Everybody thought I was showboating because my arm was hanging down next to my knee, and I wasn't showboating. My arm had actually dislocated from my shoulder. So the ref stopped the fight, and I had to go to the hospital to get it put back in. My ninth fight, I boxed a guy called Mike Robinson from Liverpool, and I boxed him on St George's Day in London, and I beat him for the English title. My 10th fight, I boxed Lee Askins, a great fighter, and he beat me, unfortunately, for the British title. I've been up there, I've had some great fights early on in my career. At that time, I was promoted by Frank Maloney.
Okay.
Now Kelly Maloney.
Now Kelly Maloney.
Kelly.
But did you ever think that Frank would become Kelly?
Not at all. Not at all.
So when you heard about it, what did you think?
Well, it was crazy. The Sunday Mirror, it came out, it was on the 10th of August, it came out, and that was my birthday. So it was a bit of a shock to wake up on my birthday morning to find out Frank had turned to Kelly. But he, she, whatever, has got a smile on its face, so be it.
I've heard different stories that she may become Frank again.
You never know. You never know. You never know. In this crazy world, anything could happen.
Would you? I mean, I know obviously Dennis Hobson's your manager, but would you ever consider having Kelly as your manager, just as a fantasy? Not obviously Dennis is your manager, and we understand that.
Not at all. Dennis is a man for me. I've signed a 3-year contract on the 16th of January this year with Dennis.
Yeah. And
once that 3 years up, I'll certainly be signing for longer. Wow. We've got a great future together. I can see that already.
So where do you think that Dennis has come in and made the changes or made the adjustments for you to now be able to go on and win that Commonwealth title?
So we went back to the drawing board. I started off training with Ryan. And Ryan didn't want to change me, he just wanted to add to me. Everybody always knew I could have a fight and I could punch. But from when I boxed amateur for the Army, I used to box and I was skillful. So Ryan just wanted to bring that back out of me, get my head moving, get me jabbing, and he's done that. With him doing that, Dennis has managed to get me the right fights at the right time. And then this Commonwealth title came up with 4 days' notice. I was training for a fight the week after, and I said I'm ready for it. Ryan was training me. He said I was ready for it, and we all believed in myself, and I did it. I proved it.
So the Commonwealth. Who are you fighting the Commonwealth for?
I boxed a guy called Jason Cunningham. He was 12 and unbeaten. He was Central Area champion, English champion, former ABA champion. Great boxer, great lad. They believed he'd walked straight through me. I got a phone call on the Tuesday before the fight, saying Martin Ward had pulled out against him, and would I take the fight? I said certainly, because I was training for the fight the week later, just a 6-rounder.
Right.
But I train every fight as if I'm fighting for the title, and it showed in the fight.
So how long did the fight go? What happened in the fight?
12 rounds. It was a split decision, but I won it in Doncaster against the Doncaster lads with 2 Doncaster judges. And watching the fight back, up until the 8th or 9th round, it was give and take. But then from 10, 11, 12, I took it, and I came into my own.
So what did you learn in that fight? Instead of blasting the guy at a couple of rounds, what did you learn going the distance?
I learned I can actually do it. I've either stopped them or been stopped before in title fights.
Right.
The furthest I'd ever gone was 7 rounds when I won my English title.
Right.
So now I know that I can do it.
Right.
And in the fight, I came on stronger from the 6th, 7th, 8th, and then I got better and better and more into it. So I know I've got a very good engine.
So that's a plus for you then.
Of course it is, a big plus. I know I've got the confidence now. I can do 12 rounds and I can have a war. If you saw me on Twitter after the fight, I looked like Avatar. His head was in my face and everything, and I had lumps and cuts. I had 5 stitches in my head, and I looked a mess. But I went to war, and it paid.
Okay, as an unbeaten fighter, you always hear that there's a pressure. Obviously now you're not an unbeaten fighter. First of all, what was it like to lose your unbeaten record, even though it was a shoulder injury? What did it feel like?
I was gutted. I was absolutely devastated. But from them losses, I've learned so much. I've had 5 losses in my career out of 20 fights. And them losses, I've certainly learned from them. And they've made me the man I am today. When I go into the ring, I've had them losses, I haven't got that extra pressure on my back. I know I've been beat and I've come back from it. But now I'm not going to be beat again.
So, when you've got losses on your record, does that make people more willing to fight you and engage with you than a person that is unbeaten?
I don't know, now I've won that, you get everybody calling you out, wanting to fight, But I'm taking the right fights, what Dennis is choosing for me. Dennis is the manager, he's the man who I pay, so I let him, he decides. I'll fight anyone, I'll leave it to Dennis.
Right.
So if they're all calling me out, whatever, it might be because I've lost before, so they think they've got that chance of beating me. But obviously I've got something what they all want, but that's mine and it's staying here.
So domestic rivalries, you said, where were you ranked in the UK?
I was ranked number 9 before the fight, now I'm number 7.
So now you're number 7, so who's above you?
I've got Stewie Hall, who's fighting for the world title next week. I've got Jamie McDonald. There's a few lads, Lee Haskins, who's beat me. So there's a few above me, which are great lads, top lads, and all respect to them.
Right. Lee Haskins, obviously he's beat you before. Is that a fight that you would want to go and get revenge for?
I'm not about getting revenge, I'm about what's right for me. And call it revenge, call it whatever. I will. That fight comes along, I will take it with both hands if it's for the right title, and that's my aim, getting them titles now. If you go in thinking it's about revenge, I just want to win. That's all I want to do.
Boxing's become a business. It's become very much a business now. It's not about, like, on Twitter, people think, oh, Ross should get out there and have a row. Have a row with him. Have a row with him. Have a row with him.
Yeah.
You've had about 10 rows, and you might win 5 and lose 5, but you've had a row. And then
That's it. I don't do that rowing. I don't need to.
Absolutely.
I don't need to. I'm a nice guy, and I'm staying a nice guy. And you get them on Twitter trying to lure you in. Do you know what I do? I just block them. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, I just block them.
What? I mean, I love to hear from fighters their perspective of Twitter. So from you, what sort of things does Ross the Boss? Because when I first heard, when Wayne first told me about Ross the Boss, I thought Ross the Boss Minter, because that was the first thing that came to my mind. So I thought, Hold on. Wait. Isn't Minter retired? I'm sure he's retired. I'm sure Minter's retired. I'm scratching my thing. Commonwealth champion? When the hell did he become Commonwealth champion? Scratching
Well, me and Ross are actually friends.
Right.
Ross invites me down to his boxing shows now. Like the Queensbury shows, and the great nights. He's had me down to there. But what happened is, I've been Ross the Boss a long time, but obviously Ross the Boss Minter has as well. And it just so happened, as I was coming through the amateurs as Ross the Boss, he had turned pro and he was Ross the Boss. It just worked out like that.
It just happened like that. It wasn't a. It was just a coincidental.
Just a coincidence. That's it.
That can't be a bad thing.
Good because today,
yeah.
How UK will do Ross the Boss T-shirts. Here we go.
Oh, look at that!
Champion one.
Get in there! Get in there!
One has been sent down to Ross the Boss Minter.
So what you need, maybe you and Ross the Boss Minter together, standing with one another. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I've got a picture. I'll tweet it you later.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So let's get back to your career. We
Right.
were talking about Twitter because I think this is going to be funny. What's the sort of things? I don't. It doesn't matter. Language isn't an issue. But what is the thing that you? What are the things they say to you on Twitter? Things that, first of all, things that make you laugh. Tell me the sort of things they've said to you.
Just like look, on the fight.
Yes.
You can see how good looking I am.
Well, I'm not going to say you're good looking.
After the fight, I looked like an avatar.
Right.
I know that. Everybody there knows that. And you still get people coming on, oh, your face is such a mess. It looks like your nose is being run over by a steamroller. And I tell them, I look like an avatar. They try and get a rise out of you. It takes so much to get a rise out of me. I don't think it even happens anymore.
Isn't it? What's the funniest thing you've read on Twitter so far?
I love watching Curtis Woodhouse's tweets.
Yeah.
They absolutely crack me up. They're unreal. It's, if you don't follow anyone on Twitter, just follow Curtis Woodhouse because you'll have comedy all day.
Do you think people go out of their way to wind people up, or do you think they're just people that are just thick and just socially retarded?
I think the people that are thick and they haven't achieved anything themselves, so they're trying to get a rise and they're trying to get a bit of fame by slagging somebody who's done well for themselves. They don't know my background. They don't know what I've done or what I've been through. They just see. I've just been sponsored a brand new Mitsubishi Trojan by a big Sheffield company, Monty's Motors. Monty's of Sheffield has sponsored me in this big truck. We've got Ross the Boss all over it. Monty's Motors. People see you driving around in that, straight away they think, look how rich he is. And you get jealous people. I've got clothing companies, Drop Dead Clothing, a massive company worldwide, sponsor me. And you get people, when you're in the clothes, you get people trying to slag you because they haven't got it. You're just jealous people.
So how do you combat that?
I'm the one wearing it, I'm the one driving around in it, that's how I combat it. And that's how I continue to be.
Wow.
Well, if it's helping me and my family, that's all I'm bothered about.
That's it. That's exactly it. And I guess that's the mentality you've got to have. Because if you don't have that mentality and you're looking to please everybody before pleasing yourself and pleasing your family, then you ain't pleasing nobody, really.
That's it. As long as me and my family are happy, fuck everybody else.
Yeah, that's exactly what Tyson Fury said. That's exactly what Brian Jennings said. You know, give him the middle finger. That's it.
That's it. Too right. It's all about me and my family.
Good man. So let's talk a little bit more. I haven't actually seen you box, clearly, because of what I talked about the Ross the Boss Minter thing.
You need to watch the fight.
Well, I will do.
Go on YouTube, Google Ross Burkinshaw and watch the fight against Jason Cunningham.
Well, I will do, and I'm sure people watching the show will definitely tune in as well to see what you're about. So, okay, if I wasn't I am an alien. I'm from another planet. Well, I am anyway. And we're talking, and I'm asking a question. Ross, what is boxing? What would you tell me?
Boxing. I'm the worst person to ask this question to because you hit and you don't get hit. But I hit and I get hit back. So that's what you should. That's what boxing is. You hit someone and you don't get hit. It's a skill.
But so in your case, you're one of these fighters that take a blow and give a blow. I take a
blow, but I give 3 back.
Right. So that means that you're fan friendly then.
Definitely.
And you love a bit of a tear up then.
I do, yes, certainly. I like a good old tear up. In the gym, I've sparred with every weight from my weight all the way up to light heavyweight, cruiserweight, and I can hold my own with anybody.
Wow. I mean, but
sometimes I think I'm about 6 foot tall, and then I have to look in the mirror and realise I'm only 5'8".
Wow. I mean, so how do you? Then you've got somebody at the other end of the scale, Floyd Mayweather, right? It is an extreme comparison, but then you've got somebody like that doesn't get hit so often, and hits a lot of people. What do you think about him as a stylist?
Excellent. I love fighters like that. My heroes, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Right.
Sugar Ray Leonard, as I said, they were people, but also Marvin Adler was one of my heroes too. So there was both total opposite. I don't have one style of fighter. What's my favourite?
Right.
I try and but like I say, I can box as well. So I try and base myself on a bit of everybody. Try and mix it all in.
Okay, so you're Commonwealth champion now. What do you think? What adjustments do you think you're going to make that leap from Commonwealth to world level?
Just keep doing what I'm doing. Listening to Ryan Rhodes, listening to Dennis Howson, keeping the small little group around me. What I've got.
Right.
I've got my conditioner. I've got people doing my diet for me, doing my strength work. I've got my wife cooking. The right meals, having everything boxed up before I go out in a day. I've got them around me, keeping just that small little circle. That's all I need to do.
I mean, the fact you said you've got your wife helping you there, I understand that. I'm married as well, and to have your wife next to you is a blessing, an absolute blessing.
Of course it is. Yeah, that's right.
You know, that brings some sort of stability to your life. And sometimes you're with a girlfriend or just a passing flame that can come in and can disrupt. And
that's correct.
You have to keep all attention to them.
I've been with my wife now. We've been together 4 years. We've been married for 2 years.
Right.
And she's my backbone. She's my rock. She's settled me down. She's actually the boss's boss.
That's it. That's what they say. That's what they say. Yeah, you're a married man.
Yeah. Behind every good man is a great woman.
Yeah, you're a married man. That's it. That's the sort of statement a married man says. Yep, I've got to agree with you on that one. Definitely. So, okay, what would you say is your best punch?
My left hook.
I did see a fight. I have a lie. I did lie. I saw you fight one guy, and I saw you knock him out with a body shot.
Right uppercut.
Yeah, right uppercut. That was it, actually. How did you know I saw that one?
Because it's a good knockout. Everyone raves about that one. He was trained by Derek the Rebel Roach.
Okay.
The Irish fighter was based in Leeds, and Mike Holloway. It was a good fight. And,
I'm actually in Dublin as we speak, doing this interview with you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm out here studying at the moment, so yeah, it's a beautiful place. I'm going to try and get to know a bit more about Irish boxing.
I like Dublin. Yeah,
it's a good crack, as they say.
Yeah, it's a good crack.
So okay, let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk more about Sheffield and the wider circle. And you talked about Ryan Rhodes coming in and training you. Now, Ryan Rhodes is one who's a very bit of a stylist. He's one who's like drop his hands and you make him ears to make you pay.
Yeah.
How much of that has become a part of your own style?
Like I said, he didn't want to change me, he just adapted me.
Right.
Such as when I watched Ryan, some of the movements I'll try. And
Yep.
some of them may work, some may not. So I won't do them again if they don't.
Right.
But Ryan, like I said, was an inspiration to me growing up.
Right.
He was one of my heroes. So the first ever boxing show I went to was the Full Monty in 1997.
I remember that.
When Nas boxed, Eubank was on, Ryan Rhodes. So to then be now trained by him, probably 15 years on, no more, 18 years on, it's crazy.
Do you something like scratch your eyes and think, wow?
Yeah, it's what I've always aspired to be at this level, and now I've got a top trainer who's fought for world titles. He's been British, Commonwealth, European champion. He's done it. He's done it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what do you think of, obviously, now I'm now gonna have to go back the weights a bit. You've got Paul Butler. So where does he fit in the whole this?
He's super flyweight. He's ahead of me at the minute.
Right. So he's super flyweight. Is that super flyweight? It's not like bantamweight.
One below.
But didn't he come up to bantamweight and win a world title?
Yeah, he beat Stewie Hall for the world title.
And he's gone back down a weight now, has he?
Yeah, I believe he did. He didn't feel he was big enough for bantamweight, but he did the business and he's got back down. So he's done great.
I mean, he was going to fight. He's going to fight McDonald. What happened there? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I don't know the ins and outs of that one. I'm not sure what's happened.
Okay, Stewie Hall fights Caballero next week, is that believe?
Caballero, yeah, 25th.
And how do you see that fight going? It's a dangerous one, I understand.
Very dangerous one. But I was there when Stewie won his world title in Leeds last year.
Okay.
And Stewie's got some big balls on him. He can take some real big shots.
Right.
And sometimes someone like that can break the other fighter's heart.
Yeah. Especially
someone like Caballero. So Caballero could hit him with shots. Stewie will just walk through them. And he could cause a big upset.
Wow. Have you had a chance to work and spar with Stewie Hall at all?
I haven't, no. We spoke about it before. A few years ago I should have fought him.
Right.
But it didn't end up happening. But that's boxing for you. Things change all the time. Just like Kelly.
I mean, when you look at fights like with George Groves and Carl Froch, De Gale and Froch, do you think that you're going to need that sort of rivalry to really boost your profile? Or do you think you can avoid that and kind of go your own way into a world title shot?
I believe I can do it my own way. I've done everything else my own way. I got wrote off. I had 5 operations in 2 years.
Wow.
I was out for three and a half years in total. I had 1 fight in a 3.5 year period.
Okay.
And I've come back this year. My aim was to have 5 fights in 2014. 2015, get back on the ladder. By end of 2015, become a champion.
Right.
I've done that a year early. I've done all that this year already. So it just shows I do everything my way.
That sounds fair enough. The Commonwealth belt, do you think that's come too soon for you in terms of now your development, or do you think it's come at the right time for you?
Just at the right time. Once I got that phone call, 4 days notice, I wouldn't have took the fight if at this stage now, I'm in it to win and to get back to them big titles. I took the fight knowing 100% I had the belief in my head that I was going to do it.
So as Commonwealth champion again, when the fight was set up for you to fight for the Commonwealth title, obviously you were coming at 4 days notice. You were the underdog, clearly.
I was the underdog. I walked into the arena and there must have been 80% cheering for Jason Cunningham when I was walking in. By the time I walked out, they was on my side. People said if it had been olden days, they'd have been chucking noggins into the ring. That's how good a fight it was. People's been saying it could be the fight of it's up for one of the fights of the year.
Wow.
And the best last round of the year. The last round was amazing.
Was it? Was it back and forth?
You need to watch it. You need to watch it.
Well, I'm definitely going to be watching it after this. So what will it? Do you listen to what the Sky commentators say?
When I boxed Lee Askins,
Yes.
when I got beat, I watched the fight back. And Jim Watt was slagging me so much.
This is reckless boxing. This is reckless boxing. We're both on us. Absolutely reckless boxing. His legs are gone. His legs are gone.
His legs were gone. I had that so much. But, you know, when I turned the volume down, it was a totally different fight. It was a totally different fight. So, no, I don't.
I don't know where Ross is. I don't know. Where is Ross?
I tell you what he said, I was a rabbit in the headline.
I think in all the times I've done an interview, I've never asked somebody about the commentating after a fight. And unfortunately, after a loss as well. I mean, I have to say, I do like Jim Watt in terms of listening to him commentate when it's not your fighter getting beat up. But when it's your fighter getting beat up, it's not good.
I think what Jim Watt does, Jim Watt makes his decision before you get in the ring and he sticks to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But that's his choice, all respect to him, that's his choice.
So, it's one of those fights you just turn the volume down on.
That's it.
But but the thing was, they make a decision, like you said, before you get in the rings. It's a political thing, I think.
I believe so.
I would say, because I've seen fights, I'm thinking, like, example, I talked to, again, Bryant Jennings, we were talking about the Perez fight. And, like, from round one, they were saying, Bryant Jennings has lost the script. It's only round one.
Exactly. They don't know what his game plan was. They don't know if it. You can't say what goes on in their minds, but it's good. I believe it is good because it gives us something to talk about now, doesn't it?
Well, absolutely. But the thing is, I'm thinking this now as a fighter in your career, yeah. Now, before this fight for the Commonwealth title, they've already said you've come out like in your challenger. And like you're considered the bum. You're the bum. Yeah. So he's the bum.
They wrote me off.
Right. So you're the bum.
Even Glyn Rhodes, my old trainer, when he asked me to leave the gym, he said he was getting rid of all the dead wood, and I'm certainly not dead wood.
Whoa. You're still around. You're still there.
But I'm back. This dead wood is on fire.
Firewood. So I mean,
that's it.
So you were considered not good enough, or just not class enough, or why did that happen?
I believe people thought my time was done, and after all the injuries, even the doctors wrote me off.
Wow.
Well, I knew. I wanted to do it, and I would do it. My wife, she works full time, so I can concentrate on boxing. I do the school run. I'll get up, I'll go running, then I'll take the kids to the school. Then I'll go and do my strength and conditioning. Come back, eat, pick the kids up from school, then I go to the gym. And I do that. My wife's done that so I can concentrate on making my dream come true.
It's weird.
And now I'm not one step further.
It's kind of weird talking to you. I've never spoken to Clinton Woods. I've only seen interviews of him. But when I'm talking to you, I'm getting a lot of Clinton Woods. Lots of Clinton Woods.
I used to carry Clinton Woods' British, Commonwealth, and his European belts out when I was that big.
Oh, wow.
From being, I believe, about 12 years old, I used to carry Clinton's belts out for him. So I was around then.
I think Clinton Woods, as a fighter, was very underrated in this country and not treated the way he should have been.
Certainly, it was. It was so underrated. He had a chin of granite.
Good fighter. And look at the fights he had. He fought Glenn Johnson.
Glenn Johnson.
Glenn Johnson.
Yeah. Gonzalez.
Yes, Gonzalez. I remember that fight.
Roy Jones in his prime.
In his prime. Roy Jones.
Bestest fighter, pound for pound. You know what I mean? And Clinton got in there, and he got beat, but who else would have got in there?
The only thing about Clinton was when he fought away from home, his performances in America were never great against Roy and against Carver. That was the only thing about Clinton Woods. He just didn't travel well as a fighter.
But to go over there and take them fights against such great names, Antonio Tarver, to go over to America and fight him, and to fight Roy Jones in his prime, that just shows he's got there's something in the water in Sheffield.
Absolutely. I mean, he
actually lives about 3 miles away from me. I see him all the time. Yeah.
Wow. He for me was one of the best of his time in his era and his time. He was.
And like you say, it's so underrated. But that's what I'm telling people. Don't underrate me. They underrated me before, and I became English champion. Then I've become Commonwealth champion. Who knows what title's next, but I'm definitely going to get there.
I mean, another thing is, another one that comes to mind? Carl Thompson.
Carl Thompson, another great fighter. Carl the Cat Thompson.
Yeah, another one underrated. Even when he beat David Hay, they still underrated him. Even when he beat Chris Eubank, they still underrated him.
What a great fighter Carl Thompson was. Yeah, he was great.
Even when he won the WWE Championship as well.
That's boxing. You get if you're with the right people at the right time, who everybody likes, and you're one of the puppets, and you do what they all say, that's right. But I'm doing it my way, like we said earlier. It's my way, Ross the Boss's way.
Okay, and then we've got another guy, Johnny Nelson.
Johnny.
Another one from Sheffield.
Another friend of mine. I know Johnny well. Yeah.
So what did he? I mean, now this is going to be interesting because Johnny's obviously on the Sky team.
Yeah.
How did he view everything? Because now he's part of Sheffield. How does he view you and your career? And
I don't know how they view me. Last week, a couple of weeks ago, I was on ringside.
Right.
Johnny passed it over to Ed because Ed was the first person to interview me and film me when I was about 12 years old, when Ed was just starting out with Sky.
Right.
And I'll tweet you the link to watch it later.
Okay.
And on it, I say I'm going to become British, Commonwealth, European, and then the World Champion. I've done the Commonwealth. I may skip the British and European and go for the World.
So who's British Champion at the moment?
I believe it's Lee Askins.
Okay. All right. And European Champion?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I believe it's an Italian thing.
Right. Okay.
I'm not 100% on that.
Well, Dennis Hobson.
I've got a life as well away from boxing, so I'm not always reading up on everything or following everything.
Good. All right. Well, so you opened up another door there, Ross. So you're talking about life away from. So what do you do outside of boxing?
I spend time with my family.
Okay.
I enjoy time with my kids, my wife.
Mm-hmm.
In the day, I'm a normal bloke. I go and do. As soon as I won the Commonwealth title, the day after, me and my family, we went for dinner with Dennis Hobson and his family. Okay. We're all close knit. We're all close knit family anyway.
Right.
And then some of my family came. And then on the Monday, I was doing the school run. I'm a normal kid. I'm just back doing the school run and enjoying a bit of time with my boys and my wife.
Absolutely, you've got to enjoy time with your wife and your boys. Absolutely.
That's it.
Let's talk about America for a second, because we talked about Clinton. We said that he's a good fighter, but the problem with Clinton was going to America.
We've had tweets, and Dennis has had phone calls about my style, wanting me to box on some undercards maybe out there.
That's it. I thought that was coming up somewhere along the line. How can you view America? Because you said you've had time to spend some time in America. How was that experience for you?
I'd love it. I'd love to do that. I've been out there. I've been at the Turning Stone Casino. I watched Layla Ali boxed Jackie Fraser.
Wow.
And Layla Ali, believe it, if you go on Layla Ali's Twitter, look down her pictures, she's tweeted a picture of me and her.
Wow.
I tweeted it, she's quoted the tweet, she's got a picture of me and her on her timeline.
Wow. It's funny you say you talk about Layla Ali. We've got an interview coming up with Lucia Riker.
Right. Wow.
She was bad, wasn't she? A bad woman.
Well, I agree with, when I was younger, I didn't really like watching women boxing.
Right.
But it's changed so much now. And like, when I was at the Layla Ali fight, it seemed so strange watching, like, she was a pretty woman fighting like Jackie Fraser. I couldn't understand why women wanted to do it. But
do you know,
as the years have gone on and I've met more and seen it more, you change your opinions and views on it. And some of the women fighters are great.
I tell you they are. And I kind of miss the big... I think there's going to be more big fights with women boxing on the undercards. I think that's amazing to have that again.
Yeah, I believe it will come. Yeah, definitely.
Because I tell you something, there's some boring undercard fights in America. Oh my god! You know, you got it's like on a Mayweather fight. You're waiting for Mayweather to come out and fight an undercard. Two guys fighting, both can't punch, and you're like,
that's it. You're falling asleep at after o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. And you think, you know what? At least you got two nice ladies. You know, something to look at least. You know. But with this situation, like, unless Jim Watson says, it's hurt, then you wake up.
That's it. Well, that's why they need to get Ross the Boss on some of those undercards to upset things.
Okay, let's talk about being a Sky commentator. What do you think it takes to be a Sky commentator? Or Sky, because they bring all these guys on Sky, and I'm noticing that everyone they bring on Sky, even on ringside, is there something they tell you before on ringside? They tell you you've got to put your hands in a certain way, or put your hands behind your back, or...
I don't know about that. My interview on ringside was over the phone,
okay.
And I just did it like this. They fired questions at me, and I answered, and nothing was cut out on ringside either. So I don't believe it is staged, but certainly some of it will tell them what to do.
Right.
I don't know that.
But from what they did for you, they interviewed you, and everything that you said was put on Sky.
Everything, yeah.
Well, that's good to know, because you know there are talks at times people say like, oh, I did my interview, but it was edited out. I didn't say that. I said that, but I didn't put it in that context. You know, so
everything word for word was all in it. Definitely.
Okay, let's talk about upcoming fights. Let's talk about, because I know that boxing fans like to know about fighters' knowledge and stuff. Let's talk about Bellew Cleverly.
I was in the gym today, and Bellew is so switched on and so determined, so ready for this. I believe Bellew will do this. I believe he will. Tony will do it. A knockout. I predict a knockout in round 10.
10? I reckon Bellew does it in half the time. I say he stops him in 5 or 6.
Right. Let's hope he does. I hope he does.
If he does, and he does stop Cleverly, will there be a third fight?
Yes, and Cleverly.
Yeah.
I believe there won't be a third. No. Tony's going to beat him and hurt him, I believe. That's the way I see it.
Okay. What about Eubank Jr. versus Billy Joe Saunders?
I saw a tweet just go on. Billy Joe just put a tweet out there about 20 grand wanting to fight him. So the fight's got to come off. I'm not sure. I'm on the fence for this one.
All right. Tyson Fury, Derek Chisora 2.
I think I don't know on that one. That is a tough one. Lots of people are saying Chisora.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't like to go with what everyone else is saying.
Okay, so you're still not sure yet.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't even think the fight will happen again.
Interesting. Let's go a little close to your weight division. Quigg v Frampton.
Frampton's got that strength and that power. I don't really see Quigg's not changing too much with the fights. Frampton is really progressing, so it's going to be. I don't like to knock any of my fellow fighters. So.
Right, so it's not about knocking; it's just an opinion. Who you think?
Frampton.
A lot of people are saying Frampton as well. But what about Quigg and the body shots? Frampton doesn't seem to like body shots very much.
No, he doesn't. No, not at all. And Quigg is really quick to the body as well.
Yes.
So who knows? Who knows? It's boxing. Anything can happen. One punch can change everything.
Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. Oh.
The special one, Kell Brook. 100%. He's got the skills, he's got the power, he's got the heart, and he will beat him.
Question. Khan and Brook have spoken about their differences. One says they dominated one in sparring. The other one said they dominated the other one in sparring. Do you know anything about that?
Just from a few friends of mine, they've told me Kels. Do you remember a fighter called John Fireball Fuse?
No.
Lightweight.
No, go ahead.
John's. I was in Khan's gym in around 2007, and John was sparring with Khan, and John was putting it on top of Khan.
Right.
So I believe, and from what I've heard, Kell certainly was. So I believe Kell broke all day long.
So you believe in some of the stories then?
I do, yeah, I do.
Wow. What would be your dream fight? If you could have a fantasy fight with anybody in the world ever, in your weight category, who would you fight?
Anyone in the world ever?
Yes.
I'd have to get in with a legend, wouldn't I?
Well, I don't know. You might not want to fight a legend.
Oh yeah, certainly. I'd have to swap places with Richie back in the day and go in with Barrera, wouldn't I?
Wow, Barrera.
Just to say you'd share the ring with him, it would be an honour.
An honour to share the ring, yeah. Well, you know, it's what goes through a fighter's mind when you want to step in the ring against a guy that you know is the real deal?
I don't know, because when I boxed Jason Cunningham 3-4 weeks ago, he was the real deal, unbeaten. But in my head, I know I'm the real deal. It's still yet to even come out even more. I proved it that night. I proved a lot of people wrong, and I'm going to continue to do that and mature and get better in each fight. I'm 28 years old, but I'm a young 28, but I'm always learning every day.
So, when do you think you'll be out fighting again, then, champ?
We're just waiting on a few things at the minute. I'm playing it a bit closer here at the minute.
Okay.
Very soon.
Very soon. And finally, do you have a word to your fans out there?
Keep following me and respect. I've always believed in myself, so make sure you believe in me.
Wow. Big message there from Ross, the boss, Burkinshaw. Ross, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Bayloric TV. It's been a fantastic debut from yourself. And
thank you.
And also, are you on social media?
Just on Twitter. You can follow me at RossTheBoss_B.
Okay. Ross the Boss, Burkinshaw, thank you so much for talking to Bayloric TV.
Thank you.
Appreciated.